Charlie Kirk's death didn't just shock his supporters, it pulled in millions of people who had never followed him at all. Almost instantly, timelines filled with old clips, screenshots, and theories. People weren't just grieving, they were investigating. And the deeper they went, the more unsettled they became. What made this moment feel different was the speed at which questions replaced condolences. Instead of a long public mourning period, attention shifted almost immediately to Charlie's private life. More specifically, to his marriage. Online observers began pointing out something they couldn't ignore. His widow, Erica Kirk, appeared composed, controlled, and already moving forward. To some, that read as strength. To others, it felt strangely premature. And then one claim surfaced that completely changed the tone of the conversation. According to viral posts circulating online, Charlie had allegedly filed for divorce just days before his death. There was no official confirmation released publicly, no court record widely verified, but the claim spread faster than any correction ever could. The implication alone was enough to make people pause. If true, it meant the public had been watching a carefully maintained image while something very different was happening behind closed doors. That possibility opened the floodgates. Soon after, images began circulating that were described as pages from Charlie's private journals. Their authenticity has never been confirmed, but they struck a nerve. The entries painted a picture of a man growing increasingly uneasy, questioning motives, doubting loyalty, and feeling surrounded by people who weren't entirely honest with him. Online commenters called the leaks disturbing. Others called them the missing puzzle piece. What unsettled people most wasn't just what the pages allegedly said. It was how closely they seemed to align with changes people had already noticed in Charlie's behavior. In his final months, supporters recall him becoming quieter, more guarded. He appeared less frequently at private gatherings. Longtime allies described him as distracted, even wary. Some say he began pulling back from donor meetings and closed-door discussions that once energized him. As these patterns were re-examined, speculation around Erica intensified. Rumors about their marriage had existed for years, but now they were being reinterpreted through a darker lens. Online theorists claimed Erica's entry into Charlie's life wasn't random. Some suggested she had been introduced through donor networks connected to Turning Point USA. Others went further, speculating about ties to influential groups that may not have wanted Charlie digging too deeply into certain areas. None of these claims were proven. But the internet doesn't need proof to build momentum. It needs narrative. And this narrative had everything: power, money, secrecy, and betrayal. TikTok became ground zero. Videos stitched together old interviews, body language clips, and speculative timelines. One recurring claim suggested that commentator Candace Owens had quietly alluded to inconsistencies surrounding Charlie's marriage and the internal dynamics of Turning Point USA. Her past critiques of leadership decisions were recirculated, reframed as hints of deeper knowledge. Some viral posts went even further, claiming Erica herself had filed for divorce before Charlie's death, and that texts and legal documents existed showing Charlie initiated the separation. Again, no verified documents were released publicly. But by that point, the distinction between allegation and fact was already blurred for many viewers. Then came another detail that raised eyebrows. According to reports shared online, Charlie and Erica had quietly sold their Arizona home earlier in the year. Around the same time, people began claiming the couple was already living apart. Supporters who had attended events noticed Erica's absence at certain gatherings, while Charlie appeared increasingly isolated. Friends and insiders, speaking anonymously online, described a marriage under constant strain. They spoke of frequent arguments and tension that sometimes spilled into professional settings. While none of these accounts were officially substantiated, they reinforced the growing belief that the relationship was far from stable. At the same time, Erica's presence within Turning Point USA appeared to grow. Observers claimed she was attending more meetings, offering direction, and positioning herself in leadership discussions. Some described it as stepping up during a crisis. Others felt it looked like preparation, as if the transition had already been anticipated. One clip in particular became a fixation point. In it, Charlie casually asks Erica about their wedding date. She pauses. She laughs awkwardly. She can't answer. On its own, it's a harmless moment. But once the internet assigns meaning, even silence becomes suspicious. Viewers replayed the clip endlessly, convinced it revealed discomfort, distance, or something unsaid. By this stage, many believed Charlie himself had begun connecting dots. The alleged journal entries seemed to support that idea. They suggested he felt watched, that he questioned the intentions of people closest to him. That trust, once given freely, was now something he guarded carefully. Old clips resurfaced of Charlie speaking about betrayal, warning that the deepest wounds don't come from enemies, but from people who promised they never would hurt you. In hindsight, those words took on a chilling tone. As scrutiny intensified, attention turned to Erica's past. Before meeting Charlie, she had lived a very public life. Beauty pageants, reality television, casting work, appearances in music videos. None of that is unusual on its own. But online theorists framed it as evidence of media training, image management, and strategic positioning. Her family background added fuel to the speculation. Online posts highlighted connections to business, defense-adjacent industries, and international philanthropic efforts, including recognition abroad for restoring a historic gate in Jerusalem. To supporters, this was impressive. To skeptics, it felt like proximity to power. The timing of her meeting Charlie became another fixation point. Internet investigators mapped timelines, noting overlaps between his rise and her entry into his personal life. Some concluded it was coincidence. Others insisted it was orchestrated. As all of this unfolded, Candace Owens and other commentators continued pushing for transparency. They questioned why leadership decisions were being made so quickly, why longtime allies were disappearing, why messaging within Turning Point USA seemed to be changing. After Charlie's death, those questions multiplied. Former staff and supporters claimed the organization underwent a rapid transformation. Familiar faces were gone. Initiatives tied closely to Charlie's voice were quietly shelved. Messaging became softer, more polished, and less confrontational. Posts were allegedly deleted. Internal discussions became more controlled. What had once been described as a movement built on free expression now felt, to some, tightly managed. Erica's public presence only intensified scrutiny. Within weeks of Charlie's passing, she was seen attending high-profile retreats, media events, and networking gatherings. Her social media posts were carefully curated. There were statements, but little raw emotion. To some, it looked like resilience. To others, it looked like narrative control. Supporters began asking a simple question. If the goal was to honor Charlie's vision, why weren't the issues he was allegedly wrestling with being addressed? Why the silence? Why the speed? Insiders claimed the old guard had been removed almost immediately. Loyalists replaced them. Leaks suggested internal discussions about rebranding, softening the organization's public face, and positioning Erica as the symbol of continuity. Whether true or not, the perception alone was enough to fracture trust. Patterns emerged: missing documents, quiet departures, rewritten narratives. People who once felt deeply connected to the movement began questioning what they were still supporting. The contrast between the public messaging and private claims fueled even more investigation. Every resurfaced clip, every leaked screenshot, every unanswered question kept the story alive. So where does that leave us? Was Charlie Kirk simply the victim of a tragic, senseless act? Or did his final months expose fractures that were never meant to be seen? Were the online theories a product of grief and misinformation? Or did they grow because transparency never came?